Hi families, this is the lesson that we did on Friday, September 15th, 2017. This was in my algebra and intermediate algebra. This lesson is on scatter plots, so if your notes don't say scatter plots, make sure you exit out and go find the lesson that does match your notes. So today we talked about scatter plots. So yesterday we collected data in our class and created a scatter plot. And today what we did was we took notes and then we looked at our own data to kind of find some of these different nuances that we're going to do today. So we're going to go ahead and start. I might use some different colors here, so I've got a few different color markers and a pen here. So if you want to go ahead and grab some, that would be great. Now's a good time to pause it and go grab some. Otherwise, I also just have a pencil. So go ahead and pause it, and you can come back in just a second. All right, welcome back. So we're going to go ahead and get started. So a scatter plot is a graph that shows the relationship between two numerical variables. The two sets of data are graphed as ordered pairs in a coordinate grid. I'm sorry, a coordinate plane. We don't need this. Coordinate grid, coordinate plane are kind of the same thing. Sorry about that. Okay, so let's look at an example. I have an example here that is labeled restaurant sandwiches, calories, and fat grams. So it says the scattered plot on the left shows the amount of fat in grams and the number of calories in 12 restaurant sandwiches. How many calories are in the sandwich that contains 17 grams of fat? Well, I'm going to go to where 17 grams is, and that's like right about there, and then go up until I find something. And that answer is right there, so that's 400. So I'm going to go ahead and just write that. 400 calories. How many grams of fat are in the sandwich that contains 600 calories? So I'm going to go up to 600, and then I'm going to go over till I find it. There it is. Go down, and the answer is 30 grams of fat. All right. What tends to happen to the number of calories as the number of grams of fat increases? So if we look at this, it looks like as the fat increases, it looks like our calories are also increasing. So as fat increases, so does calories. So now we're going to have to kind of flip back and forth here, but I'm going to have you actually do these two, and then why don't you come back when you get done. So go ahead and pause this video, and then come on back. All right, I wasn't able to answer myself real quick, so the 740 is the sandwich that has about 43, and there's a number or a symbol that we talked about in class. It's called this, and it's like two tildes. So tilde is something that they put on ends in Spanish, so it's like a wavy equal sign, and it means about. So it's about 43. And how many calories are in the sandwich that contains 33 grams? Real quick check. We have about 600. So about 645. All right. Trend lines. the relationships between the data on a scatter plot. So this one right here, if we look at the data, it looks like as I go positive on my x values, my y values are also getting positive. So this is actually a positive correlation. And I like to take a marker or something like that and kind of just make an arrow. This one right here, as my x value gets bigger, my y value gets smaller. So this has a negative correlation. Okay. This one right here is kind of on a curve. So it says the points lie in the shape of a curve. This is a parabolic or a parabola. And what's happening here is that eventually this data is going to meet somewhere in the middle and then mirror exactly what it looks like on the other side. And then finally, this is a no correlation. Sorry. And the way that I like to represent this on a graph is I circle it and kind of make a no, like a no smoking sign. So if you think about it, like on this, our numbers are all going up and they stick right on our arrow. Same with this, same with this. This one I can't make a line out of it, so I have to encircle or encapsulate all of our data. Okay. So now it's asking us to identify the relationship. Describe the relationship between the data. Identify any outliers, gaps, and clusters. So real quick, let's identify what these words are. So outliers are data that's outside of the norm. Gaps are missing data. And clusters is when you have a whole bunch of them right on top of each other. Lots on top of each other. So the easiest way to use this is I use my pencil. So I'm going to put my pencil on where most of the data is, and I notice that it's matching this arrow right here. So I know that this one must be a positive. So I'm just going to write a P. So if this is, oh wait, we've got a parabolic too. So I'm going to write positive. This guy right here that's not on my pencil, that's what I would call an outlier. This one is the round in the shape of a curve, so it's a parabolic. And this one, if I put my pencil down, it is a negative. There might be some that are sort of maybe pretty close to being outliers, but they're not super far out. So if you were to mark that down on a test, I'd give you those. But at the same time, if you didn't mark them down, you'd be okay. So these ones are on your own, but we did them in class. So these ones really revolve around using a lot of your knowledge of the English language. So what I want you to think about is this. As this gets bigger, what is this size doing? So month of birth and birth of weight for infants at daycare. So as the month increases, which we can't really increase a month. So in January, you have to weigh this much. In February, you have to weigh this much. In August, you have to weigh this much. In September, you have to weigh this much. And in December, you have to weigh this much. That doesn't make any sense. And if I think about it, the opposite, it doesn't make any sense. So it has to be this. There's no way to say how much you're going to weigh based off of what month you're born. So I know immediately that A has to be this one right here. These two are a little bit trickier, so let's think about it. As a quiz score and test score of each student in a class. So as my quiz scores increase, do my test scores increase? Or as my quiz scores increase, do my test scores decrease? Typically speaking, if you're doing well on quizzes, you're going to do great on a test. So that must be this. And then finally, the age and value of my laptop. Let's just check. When my laptop is brand new, it costs a lot. When my laptop is kind of middle of the range. It's not quite as much. And when my laptop is old, it's right there. So that one has to be C. Finally, our last scatter plot that we built. So this is almost exactly like what you did in math class the other day. So all I'm going to do is, it says to use the table below, write in the ordered pairs. You don't really have to rewrite, but what I would like to see is maybe that you just show that they're an ordered pair. So I'm going to go ahead and do this, and then we're going to take a look and describe the relationship between the data and identify any outliers, gaps, or clusters. So I'm going to do this, and I'd like for you to do it as well. I'm going to use a Sharpie marker so we really see it. You can go ahead and keep using your pencil. So 0, 95. I'm going to check that off. 3 and 88. 2 and 90. 5 and 83. 7 and 79. 9 and 70, 4 and 85, 1 and 94, 10 and 65, 8 and 75. If you're not done, go ahead and pause it and come back when you get to the same spot. Welcome back. Now that we've plotted our data, let's describe the relationship between the data. Do I have a positive, a negative, or a no correlation? Well, my data is all pretty much centered around my pencil when I just lay it down like that. It is a small slope, but I can tell looking at it that the slope is going down. So that must mean that it's a negative correlation. I know that I don't have any outliers because when I lay my pencil down, there's none that are on the outside. So there's none. I don't really have any gaps. There's a small gap right here, but it only means that there was nobody in the class that was gone 6 days. What a gap would mean is like if all 3 of these were gone and we had a huge gap right there. I also don't really have any clusters. I hope that this helps and that you're able to work on your work. There was an extra credit activity today. Feel free to do it if you'd like. It's due when you come back. I hope you have a great day, and we'll see you when you get back.